Okay, I just talked about cold weather gear. Let's talk about wet weather gear. One thing to keep in mind on principle is your wet weather gear, even if it's waterproof, it's not going to keep you completely dry. It would be better to describe wet weather gear as, instead of keeping you dry, it's just you're going to get wet slower. Like if you're out running around doing, athletic stuff in the rain, and let's just grab my favorite jacket. You happen to be wearing this Frogg Togg jacket. This will keep you completely dry. Like, it will keep you dry. You don't have to worry. Well, it will keep you dry from the rain. Okay. Like, rain is not getting through this jacket unless it rips. And eventually these will rip. Frogg Togg's jackets happen to be something like $20 at Walmart. They used to be even cheaper. I think when I bought this, I think I paid something like $7 for a jacket and rain pants. Sold as a set. But Frogg Togg's brand is still great and affordable and will generally last you a really long time. You can step up to, I used to have a Marmot soft shell, REI soft shells, Arc'teryx soft shells, or not soft shells, rain jackets are all good, but you tend to spend a lot more money. Like an Arc'teryx jacket, rain jacket, I used to have one before it got stolen. Those go for over $200 for just a thin rain jacket. Now, on your rain layers, kind of talked about previously, cold weather layers, your rain layer just keeps your cold weather layer from getting soaking wet. And it keeps it from getting wet from rain. If I'm wearing this and I'm running around, even though this is a relatively breathable jacket, I will still get sweaty. And at some point, I will be wet because of the sweat instead of wet because of the rain coming down on me. Now, if you're wearing a chest rig or a vest, obviously you probably keep this open so you could access whatever's on your chest rig for the airsoft, or that's going to be your magazines. For airsoft use or any tactical stuff, I see a lot of kind of different camps between whether you should use a jacket or a poncho. Now, if you're doing hiking or tactical stuff, personally I like ponchos, especially for backpacking, because you can potentially have your poncho cover your backpack and keeps, your backpack would be dry. The problem with a poncho, let's take this one out. This is going to be a USGI poncho, and if you're going to go with ponchos, this is really a good brand. I'm pretty sure this is made in China, but it's well made. And comes with a stuff sack. I'm going to carefully fold this after recording the video. Excuse me, I'll be right back. Okay. So for backpacking, you can potentially throw this on right over your backpack, and it'll keep your backpack warm or dry. And it also doesn't hug you as tightly, so potentially I could put like all this sideways. There's plenty of room under this thing. I could wear all sorts of insulation layers under this, and I'd still be fine. The problem, and if I need to get a mag for my chest rig, it would be a little hard because I'd need to get my hand out, grab my chest, whatever from the chest rig, and then pull it out through the hole. So that's kind of a slight disadvantage on ponchos. For airsoft, though, I would not recommend a poncho because if it just makes you a much bigger target. Like, if you compare how big of a target I am with my arms out to what I would look like with a jacket, there's all of this space down here that somebody could potentially shoot me in, where with the jacket, that, somebody shoots a BB there, it hits me if I'm wearing a poncho. It doesn't hit me if I'm wearing a jacket. So that's kind of one of the disadvantages. Ponchos also tend not to compress as well. You know, like it's this compressed all the way down. The poncho is probably 2 or 3 times the size of that Frogg Toggs jacket. Now, in terms of brands to look for, if you want a poncho, USGI Industries is probably the way to go. You can get legit military surplus ponchos still. They're about the same price, but you're potentially dealing with used products. Yeah, it's made in the USA by the lowest bidder. Berry compliance and all that. But frankly, these USGI industry ponchos are actually pretty good. I'll roll this up. Now, for jackets, the real budget stuff, Frogg Toggs is absolutely wonderful. For what you pay, they definitely kind of hit outside their weight class. Generally, like, people will through hike the Appalachian Trail and use a Frogg Toggs jacket for the entire thing, no problem. You'll get a few small rips in them, but they generally can take a huge amount of abuse. If you want to step up from there, just talking brands I've got personal experience with, I used to have a Marmot jacket. The problem with that is when it was brand new, it was great. And that was about $100 jacket now. The problem is, after it wasn't so new and it had been used to hike, I probably put about 1,000 miles on that jacket hiking before it wore out. It ceased to be waterproof. It just, like, rain would come down, the rain would go through, the jacket would get saturated, I would get wet from the jacket from the rain. So it's not something I'd really recommend. And then one step up from there that I've, once again, personal experience with, is Arc'teryx. And for any sort of outdoor gear, Arc'teryx is probably the best. I mean, Arc'teryx is to cold weather and wet weather gear kind of what Crye is for plate carriers and combat pants and that kind of thing. They're the absolute best, but you pay for it. I used to have an Arc'teryx soft shell. The only reason I got that was because it was on sale at REI. It was, I think, $70 is what I paid on sale, but knew those go for closer to, last I looked, they were like $200, and they're probably more like $300 now. I'll put a link in the description if you want to see. That's an amazing jacket. I wore that jacket for years. It always kept me dry. It didn't fail. It didn't leak. It was fairly breathable, so it kind of let your sweat out a little bit. You'd still get a little wet, but like, for the money, dollar for dollar, this Frogg Toggs stuff is actually really good. Like, yeah, eventually you wear it out. You'll eventually wear out everything, but you can buy one of these every year for the next decade and still be probably the next 15 years, so through 2040, roughly, and you'll still be cheaper than buying one Arc'teryx jacket. So it kind of depends what you're doing, but for my money, these win. Okay, hope that was helpful. Stay dry out there.